Chuck, welcome to my podcast. I'm glad to have you. Thrilled to talk to you. Let's talk concerts. Where did it all start for you?
It's kind of well, we go back a long time, obviously, but my dad owned a motel in Gulfport, Mississippi called Fairchild's Motel. And this right down the road was a club called the Cheyenne. And every band that played the Cheyenne usually stayed at the motel because the band house was so bad. There were holes in the floor. There were rats bigger than cats.
And let me just stop you there. What year is this that we're talking about?
It's got to be 1983. 1983.
Okay, I almost spit up my tea because I think I've been through here. We might have a connection point. Continue.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where this gets crazy. So I have two stepbrothers that can sing like angels, play the piano, play guitar. They're just wonderful people. I can't sing, I can't dance, and I can't play an instrument. But I've always just been enthralled by music and how it's made, not so much making it. So hanging around at the Cheyenne, meeting bands, meeting the sound man,
Sure.
and getting permission to just sit on the side of the stage instead of going have to stand or sit like everybody else in the club. I'll just be on the side watching. And so I just really got into it. And so after a while I started running sound for local bands, and I was pretty good at it, I think.
And how old were you at this when you actually stepped behind the mixing console?
I was 19 years old the first time, probably.
Okay.
And I was green because I was self-taught.
Sure.
I didn't get a chance to go to Full Sail or anything like a lot of guys did.
Right.
So I learned and I got better and I got better, and before you know it, I'm doing it for different bands on different nights, not just really locked into doing it for one band all the time. And then a little band by the name of Defiance came around. Pretty cool name, and I helped them out for a while running sound, and then I got noticed and I was able to get hooked up with a band called High Risk, and they hired me to run lights because Charlie was leaving. And so I sat there and I was like, cool, man, I would love to be a roadie, let's go, man. I'm gonna be on the road with a band. So we went to they sent me a bus ticket and I had to get to Anniston, Alabama to play Deep Fords. I show up and I'm now the sound man. They said, you're going to take over sound. We're going to get somebody else to do lights. And I was like, okay. I was a little scared because
were they traveling with their own system at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
This is back when, in the 80s when bands had, a big truck.
Yep.
Full
you
of
had
equipment.
To bring it with you.
Yeah. You had to bring everything, speakers, soundboard, all of it. But so that all evolved from there. But what it really got me into it was just that 5 Miles High would stay at Fairchild's Motel. A band called See You at the Movies would be playing there because you'd always see it up on the billboard, tonight, see you at the movies. Everybody just thought that was hilarious, and it worked.
It is.
So yeah, that's kind of an odd way of putting it, but that's where I kind of got into it very young. Just loved it.
So was that your first tour, like going from town to town?
Yes, that I never did anything outside of the 3 coastal counties of Mississippi for the longest time, but I was probably 19 by the time I actually got hired by High Risk to go on the road, and that was the beginning of the end, as you would say. It was like it was all up. It was just a moonshot, man. It's probably the best time of my life, I gotta say.
And let me stop you there and ask you a couple questions about High Risk.
Sure.
How many members were in that band?
Total, as in from the day it started till the day it ended, or
no?
I worked for them?
What was it? A 5-piece, 3-piece, 4-piece?
It was a 5-piece, 2 guitars, keyboard, drums, bass.
Okay, great. And everyone sang, or one guy sang, or?
Well, you usually had 2 or 3 guys could actually sing, and actually 4 of the 5 could actually sing, and the drummer, he just never wanted to, even though he could. But everybody sang, but maybe one guy would do the majority, let's say, and one guy, the keyboard player might do a song, and the bass player might sing a song, and the rhythm guitar player might be the lead singer, you know, at night. Also
Yeah.
the guys would get sick, and they couldn't sing, so somebody would just have to take over.
How many guys were how many guys were in the crew?
3.
Sound, lighting, backline?
Nope, stage manager. Because
Oh,
after I stopped doing sound, I moved into stage manager
nice.
and monitor mix if the club could provide us monitor mix, because we didn't carry a monitor mixing board, but we did have, obviously got to have monitors.
Yeah, you just drove it from the house.
Yeah, and so once I was stage manager, I mean the whole thing that changed a lot of stuff. But
And how did the band travel?
they had a Winnebago
That's the
crew.
way.
The crew, man, we had a 3 sleeper truck. It was probably a 30-foot truck. Took out about 3 feet of it and put in 3 bunk beds and a little fridge, and the rest was cargo.
Yeah, it's hard. One of the things too that like you and I would just gloss over, right, is
Mm.
that how it was back then, that if you had it, it's because you improvised and created it and built it. What you didn't go to the store and buy the 3 bunker truck.
No.
You bought a truck and then you went over to Ed's house and you parked it in the yard and you tore it apart and you
Yep. Yep.
and you made what you need. The same thing with probably some of your speakers and your monitors and your this, that. You got some plywood and you made some
Hmm.
cuts and you got some glue and
Oh, listen, early bands, one of the ones I worked down here, Changed to Eden, when they were first getting started, they didn't even have light bars. And
yeah.
like I said, my dad owned a motel. Well, we had a whole lot of plumbing pipe. And so I had this great idea. We'll just mount these lights on this PVC pipe, and it worked. And you
Yeah.
just run the power cord right through the center of the pipe, and then just hang them up. And it was free. I mean, we had to buy
Yeah.
the cans, of course, but the lights, but it worked. You know.
Making lighting cans, making pyro.
Yeah.
We
Oh.
did we did pyro with a high E string guitar string in between 2 alligator clips, and you just plug it in the wall and flash it would, and then the burnt wire would fall into the gunpowder and poof.
Wow. That's pretty
Yeah.
smart. I would never try that myself, but and
Well,
children,
wise
please
man.
don't try this at home.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
you're an IT guy. You got good ideas.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. So those, and what kind of music were they playing at the time?
Oh, when they first started, it was your classic 80s type rock, but not the heavy stuff. It was like Journey and well, they did a Led Zeppelin medley, they did a Beatles medley. Um, at
But
one
the
point down the road, they even did a Rush medley.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we had a good singer at that point. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was crazy good. He's
Well,
actually still going. His name is I'm gonna plug him. His name is Ronnie Rogers, and the name of his band is Black Glass.
Black
They're
Glass.
they're in Myrtle Beach. I don't know if it's
Nice.
north or south, but there's your plug, Ronnie Rogers.
Right on. Good for him, man. Keeping it going.
Yeah, he's still playing, man. And this he owns 200 guitars.
Get out of town.
No, and who would do that?
Yeah. I have friends. I have friends. I've got 10.
Yeah,
That's enough.
yeah. I have one in the neck's broken. I can't even play. So yeah.
A couple things about that time and that era too is 2 things. One is that the clubs were 18 and over
Yes,
in America at that time. And that 18 to 21 crowd is what made all of those shows, those clubs, that whole era happen, because as soon as it went to 21 and over,
that was it.
it was the kind of the death to what a hip thing it was.
Yeah.
And then it took all these 18 to 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, and put them out on the street with no place to go for entertainment.
Yeah. I thought about that very topic last night because I remember the death of traveling bands was when the clubs had to go strictly 21 just to appease
Yep.
the government to get their funding for the roads, baby. So that's what it all boiled down to. So yeah, that
Yep.
the 18 to 21 crowd was just the bomb, man. I mean, we played one club, I can't remember, I think it was Roadies in Goldsboro. Well, they had a fence down the middle, 18 and under and 21 and over.
Yeah.
So, or I guess 20 and under and 21 and over on the other side. But
Yeah.
they could serve beer only to them and alcohol and beer to the 21, but they would had this chain link fence. Gee, how are you going to get a beer over or something or a whiskey to the other side?
The Chuck, the only reason I'm not laughing my ass off right now is because I've played gigs with a chain link fence down the middle separating the crowd. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. What's the big deal? But it's just bizarre when you see it. And when you're on stage, I mean, I'm not a player, but mic checks and light checks and everything. And I'm out there and I'm just looking at this. It's like a cattle pen or something.
It's
I'm like,
weird.
it's and it's right down the middle too. And it's just okay.
Yeah, well, it helps the musicians on stage to pick out who they want to be with later. You stay on the crowd on the right. I may get in
Yeah.
trouble on the left.
Yeah. Well, I can't get anybody in trouble, but let's just say that I was the guy that everybody said that David Lee Roth would use at
Yeah,
concerts.
pick out the chicks.
I was that guy. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a great spot.
it was it was always best if they had a friend with them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, someone's got to take one for the team.
Yeah, that was times were different. Let's say.
Times were different. Before Me Too, it was me.
Mm-hmm.
It was I'm in.
Yes, I'm all in.
And how long did that run with that group last year?
The first go around was a year and maybe some change. I took a little time off. We all did, actually. It was maybe like a regrouping and a lot of guys quitting and saying, well, okay, then they started getting back together and I'd heard about it. And I was in Jackson, Mississippi in a BYOB bar. Actually, it was in Clinton, I believe. And sitting there, and here comes somebody from high risk, and they're like, so what are you doing these days? And I'm like, I got a dead end job working at a movie theater. How do you think I'm doing? And he's like, you want to go back out on the road? And I'm like, yeah, let's go.
What time? Yeah.
And I was like stoked, and I had to drive that night. That was not the fun part.
Oh yeah, and good news, you're driving and we're leaving
Yeah,
in a half hour.
we're tired, man. You mind driving? And it was a Chevy Nova. It belonged to Ronnie Rogers. They'd come a long way from a Winnebago to in a big truck to a van and a Chevy Nova. But
Yeah.
hey, yeah, if you want to be out there, you got to be willing to make the sacrifices. And, you very well, I'm sure, know bologna is not that bad when you're hungry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we used to eat. We used to feed 9 guys with souse, which I'm sure you're familiar with. You're not.
No, I'm not.
You live in Mississippi. You know what souse is. Souse is something you can't buy in the north. You can only buy it like in the Piggly Wigglies in the south. It was a translucent meat. You could see right through it, and it's
No.
all the parts of the pig that's ineligible to be sold for dog food.
Okay. There's.
And
We
it
were
was like
never
30,
that broke.
it was like 39 cents a pound. It was
Oh God. Yeah, we would buy a loaf of bread, mustard, mayonnaise, and some 2 packs of bologna and feed everybody a couple of sandwiches. And if we were lucky, we'd have a slice of cheese.
yeah, bologna. You're fancy.
Yeah. Yeah, we were up. Hey, we were up there. And of course, everybody had a girlfriend in
Yeah.
every town. So when you played the right cities, you would get 3 hots and a cot, man. It
Oh
was
yeah,
like, stay in
Nancy's
the
coming
house,
out to
guys.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the chicks bringing out the food, taking
yep.
you out, buying you breakfast, buying you this, maybe some new tennis shoes.
Yeah.
We lived off the chicks.
Yes, we did, man. And look, I was really serious about this one girl, and her dad owned a boot shop. And
Ooh,
she's like, told everybody in the band, come down and get you a brand new pair of boots, cowboy
no
boots,
way.
Yeah, absolutely. And every one of them took her up on it, but me, because I don't freaking wear cowboy boots. I just don't. Why am I going to take them if I don't wear them? I mean, what would be the point, right? So, I mean, you know, that's just me. Yeah.
That is really, really,
See, I can't even make this crap up, man. It's true.
really, really fucking funny. The one guy that's doing the chick,
Yeah. And I don't want it.
and I don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, hold that thought.
All righty.
Oh my God, that's fucking funny. Well, let me ask you this: were they good boots?
Oh, the boots were awesome. Oh yeah, they were ostrich, boa,
Oh,
rattlesnake.
that
I
sounds.
mean,
That sounds
they
fancy.
were some serious bucks, man. I don't think her dad was too cool on it, but apparently he
Probably
approved
not.
it because he was there
Yeah.
while
Well,
everybody was trying them on and walking out the store with them on, man.
yeah. If my daughter brought home a fucking army full of losers out front in a van looking for some free boots, that would not have ended up that way. That's,
Yeah, that was, eh.
oh, that is funny. And how long did that run of that configuration last?
That was about a year as well, but um, there was one story in between there that I didn't really get into too much because I can't say who.
Sure.
Um, but they've recently lost a drummer, and they were from Canada,
Mm-hmm.
kind of band
Sure.
that I worked with for about 3 months. It was like,
Nice.
I mean, as a drum tech, not the drum tech, but
Yeah.
because that person had a lot of drum techs. So I had 3 months in Canada, which was awesome. And then I came back, and then I was working a dead end job in Jackson, Mississippi, and ran into high risk. Went back out on the road. One of our best gigs was Ocean City, Maryland, to Key West, Florida. Nice, you know,
Who was your
mapping
eight?
there.
By that time, what year was that?
Oh, actually, I got those confused. But this year is probably 1985 or six, probably. I think I can't be positive because I was there, so I really don't remember.
Dig that. Now, do you remember who your agent was?
Yeah, it was John T-Tac with Showtime. We called him TikTok.
So, are you telling me that you would refer to that as the T-Tac torture tour?
Yeah. Oh my God, you too? Really? Dude, no way. No way.
Yeah.
That is fucking hilarious, man. Not many people know, right?
people people don't know, and before I leave the earth, it's my mission for some people to know. I actually did a podcast with John T-Tac earlier this year,
Really?
and with other bands and techs and guys that toured with them. And next year, I hope to release a proper rockumentary about the T-Tac torture tours and John and all of that. So this, Chuck, isn't it crazy how this just all
Yeah.
blinds together, right?
It's a small world, man.
Small world. John T-Tac
Yeah.
was an agent from originally from Ohio, that from Youngstown, that had a niche like no other.
Yeah. Niche, is that the word?
That's what we're calling it.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Fucker.
calling it. We're calling it a niche. Had a niche that, and listen, plenty of times I was pissed at John back in the day, but that's okay
Hey, he
because
did things for us that, the
he
clap
was
pack.
capable of taking some band that had no name, no nothing, and he would find you a gig.
He could.
He would find you a gig. Now, you may not know where that gig is,
Mm. Yeah, but you're going.
but you're going. It would be, okay, where are you guys at now? I need you to head north for 2 hours and pull over and call me. Right?
Just in case.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you where the next show is.
Yeah. We had, we, oh man. But yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, guys would occasionally fornicate with the local population.
Shocking.
I know. I just couldn't. I never understood why. But
I
maybe
gotta
because
be
they.
careful with you. I don't want to spit anything
Yeah.
else.
But Tic Tac used to provide us with clap packs. It was just like,
Yeah,
take all of this and don't drink milk for
the
24
clap,
hours.
the clap pack,
Pack.
you know. What the clap pack? What do they call it now? The Z pack. You get a
Yeah,
Z pack?
probably.
No. We had clap packs with some
Yeah.
tetracycline in it because the guitar tech's penis looks like a grapefruit. We don't know what to do. He can't zip his pants up because everyone's pants were too tight back then, you know.
Oh man. Oh, that brings
True
back some.
story. True
I
story.
gotta believe you. I know. Hey, I got one too for we had a light man. He was actually the spotlight guy because we had like at least a 3-man crew or 4 maybe at that point. He got the crabs, man. So he shaved it all
Yeah.
and then proceeded to show us.
Yeah.
Look, and we're like, dude, you got to shave it all off because they'll go to your head, your eyebrows. You got to get
They're
rid.
like Tarzan swinging from a vine, man. They're going to make a lap around your body with or
Yeah.
without your permission.
Yeah, so he went in, he shaved his head and everything. Didn't have any eyebrows.
Okay. Now,
Sorry.
time out, Tiger.
Mm,
I got a couple questions for you.
okay.
Did you play Huntington, West Virginia?
Yes, I believe we did. West Virginia. Yeah.
Bojangles or
Oh, is that
Roberts?
where they had all the drug needles always out in the parking lot? No, that was Tennessee. Bojangles. It sounds familiar, but I don't catch me in a lie. I don't want to say I did.
Okay. Let's talk about Norfolk,
Mm.
Virginia. Did you play on
Oh my
stage?
God! Yes, yes, yes. Flaming
Skippers?
mug or the butt plug, and the one
The
across the street
flaming mug in Fayetteville?
in Fayetteville. Absolutely, yeah. And the one across the street, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It was our favorite actually. But you had the one that had the Hawaiian paintings on the walls or
Oh
whatever on
my
the
God.
external, right?
Yeah.
That's the flaming butt, the flaming mug,
The
and the one
flaming
across.
mug where Fort Bragg is. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so we played there, but that's what you were talking about, North Carolina, right?
Well, we could go down the list.
No, which what I thought that's what you said. I'm sorry. What would you ask me? Norfolk. No fuck,
Norfolk.
no
No,
fuck,
no
Virginia.
fuck Virginia. No fuck going to no fuck Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You played
Mm-hmm.
Newport News.
Mm-hmm.
There was a
That.
club.
Yeah. That was cool,
There's a
man. We were
yeah,
loading
there
in the snow one time, man. God, that was awful. Shit, just sliding down a ramp all by itself. It was snowing so much. It's crazy. But they
yeah.
had good food,
They had great food because the law in Virginia back then was 50% of a bar's income had to be from food sales if you wanted to retain your liquor license.
Yep.
So every bar had cheap, good food
Yeah.
because they had to sell food.
Yeah. And we usually got asked, or fed for free, really, mainly almost one meal a day everywhere, every time. And it
Yeah.
was funny. They had just come out with this new type of soundboard. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. You could put a chip like SIM drive, you know what I'm talking about, or like a little USB drive, but it's just flat. Anyway, you could put a chip in this thing, set the sound, record it to this chip. You pull out the chip, so now every time you go to that club, you use that chip, and it would preset everything. I don't know what it was called, but that was the most fascinating thing I'd ever seen.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's crazy. But Norfolk, we played Newport News, and I think there was another place that we played there as well.
You
I
played
can't.
at Norfolk. You probably played at Norfolk.
The base.
No, on Norfolk on the strip, right in the shitty area, were two clubs. One called On Stage, and the other one was Skippers.
Skippers. That's it.
Yeah,
Played Skippers. That's the one. Yep. And let's see, Norfolk. I think that's about all we did in Norfolk. But yeah, we loved that place, man. I think. No, I'd be wrong probably. I was going to say something, but I think I got it. I'm confused again.
where'd you guys play in Georgia?
Georgia. Well, we played Atlanta. I wish I could remember the name of the club. We played in
We play Hinesville.
where?
Hinesville.
Hinesville? Doesn't ring a bell. No.
Savannah.
Savannah, yes. Out on the coast, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I can't remember.
A T-Tac club there was Ollie Mays.
That's probably where we played.
Right downtown, little skinny, narrow
Yep.
club,
Yeah.
little small stage in the corner.
Yeah. 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 I remember that one. There was another one, I think in Georgia, where it was at a strip mall. It was
Columbus,
in
Georgia.
Columbus, Georgia, and it was an Irish pub, right?
Rockers.
Rockers. That's where, oh man, I fell in love with this girl from a band called Avalanche. I don't know if you remember them. It was
I don't.
two female lead singers like Hart, and but they also played guitars and shit like Hart, and they were really good. And I wound up dating the lead singer for a while. Yeah, you know when they're roadies with the lead singer of a band, man, you know you were moving up.
Really moving up. And where was she from?
I don't know. I don't think I ever asked her. You know, because where
Care.
are you from when you're on the road, right?
Yeah. Where it's where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
More better, bigger question.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
hope I'm not getting anybody in trouble. I mentioned their band names, but they're all debunked now, and yeah, who cares, right?
Yeah. No one.
They can sue me. I'll be fine with that.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
Any attention is good after 35 years.
Hell yeah, man.
A long time ago. I mean, where else? Did you play? Did you play like Clarksville, Tennessee?
No, but we played Johnson City, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Big club there. Can't remember the name of it. But it was really big, and there was another town uh, in Tennessee where we played. You had mentioned when you were mentioning the name of a club, it sounded familiar. It literally, this was a test from the band dude, you know, the guy that owned the band. For whatever reason, one night he sent me in to get paid, you know, or collect our money.
Go
And I go
settle.
in there and I'm told one amount by Dale, who was the guy that ran the band. He's like, go in there and get our X amount of dollars. I'm
Yep.
like, okay, cool, sure, no problem. You know, I got the money bag. I go in there. The guy counts it and he keeps counting. And he's passed up where he's supposed to be. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, then he finally stops. And here you go. I put it in the bag. It was like triple what we were supposed to get. So then I go in there and I hand it to Dale and he's counting it and he's like, what's all this? I said, oh no, man. I said, I suggest we just hit the road and go.
Pack it up.
Let's go. But there were needles all over the place outside this club, man. It's the craziest thing. And it was Tennessee. I remember that, but I don't remember the name of the town. Murfreesboro. That's
Mufflesboro.
it.
Yep.
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 Murfreesboro. Yep. Love it.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the club there, but I remember.
Yeah.
I remember going there.
Yeah. Small world, man.
Yeah. The T-Tac Torture Tour.
How about did you ever play Key West?
Dirty Harry's.
I don't remember what it was called, but it was the owner's wife was a former Playboy bunny or a model or centerfold or something.
Yeah.
You would know this club if you ever played it. The soundboard was up in a tree house.
Yep.
Okay. I don't, like I said, I don't remember the name of it, but it had the wide open doors and everything.
I remember this. I remember we were in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we got the call from John that our next gig was in Key West, Florida.
And you had 24 hours to get there or something stupid.
Something fucking stupid like that. And
yeah.
We made the Kessel Run in 9 parsecs.
We got the call when we were in Ocean City, Maryland. Ocean City, Maryland, Key West, Florida is literally a nonstop 24-hour drive. If you consider getting gas and all that crap, nonstop. As soon as we hit Florida, we get pulled over by the cops. And they want everything out of the truck. Yeah. They're like long-haired hippies and all this shit. And we're pulling our stuff out of the truck. And they're looking for drugs. And
oh yeah,
nobody had anything because we were broke. So we weren't even worried about it. We were just pissed that they were making us take it out.
Yeah, we got busted by the DEA at Melbourne, Florida, and because some of our guys had bought weed from them, and then they raided our bus in the parking lot, and accused us of all this and that. It's like, what kind of international drug trade do you think that we're running on a $20 budget? First off,
Yeah.
and second off, we bought the weed from you.
What's
You
up with
know,
that?
yeah, and they told us that we can get out of it if we set up a local drug dealer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
all in
yeah.
on that.
We're all in on that. They said we
Yeah.
could you could do that or we could all go to jail. So we picked that and then we picked that and it was some crazy ass Thor looking biker dude, of course, you know. And long story short of it, the guy closed the nightclub the day before we were supposed to do the buy. And we took all the DEA's money, we split.
Smart. Like, sorry, bye guys.
Yeah, sorry, bye guys. Yeah,
Oh, see,
yeah, the T-Tech Torture Tour. Did you work for any other bands
uh,
on that same circuit?
no, it was always high risk.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I we enjoyed the torture, man.
Yeah.
Uh, did you ever play Nag's Head?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, there was a lesbian bar there, right? And I don't remember the name of it, and that, I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. It's because I'm leading into a joke. So we're loading in, and we're getting everything set up, and we decided to take a break. And this fine bartender comes walking over to me. And now, understand, I don't know what type of facility I'm in at the time. Let's just say this is a
Yeah.
very attractive woman comes over to me and
Right.
says, "Would you like a blowjob?" And I'll look at the guys in the band and shit. I'm like, yeah. So she commences to make this drink. Says, "Okay, now put your hands behind your back, bend over, put your mouth around the glass, and swallow it." I'm like, I don't think I can swallow all that at once. She goes, "Yeah, you get it. Now, what would you
Yeah.
like to drink? Because we can't swallow it all at once." I thought that was funny. It was funny when you were there, I guess.
No, it is funny. What's even funnier is that how many guys did she do that on before you?
Oh, probably all of them.
Oh, all of them. I mean, it's probably her second season.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But yeah, love Nags Head because we got to stay at a beach house of
Yeah,
all things, man.
nice.
I mean, literally on the beach, up on stilts and stuff, and that was fantastic. But and speaking of band houses, probably the best one was in Key West. We actually had like mango trees or whatever that fruit is that hangs. It's not coconuts and bananas. It's not. Might be maybe it's papaya. I don't know. It's a green fruit and it's fantastic to eat. It's orange on the inside. Big, huge one. And that's where I got this great idea to bleach a pair of jeans. So I got a spray bottle, right? And I sprayed my jeans with crazy letters and shit. Well, you know
Sure.
what bleach will do to clothes when you wash them after you've done that? It'll eat it. So I had a great pair of ate up brand new blue jeans with these gray stripes all over the place. And about a few years later, when glam rock was about to die, you see it all over the place. Everybody's got it going on.
You're describing my wardrobe.
Current. Yeah. Oh man, we did some crazy stuff for clothes, huh?
Well, it was trying to fit in with what was happening at the time
Yeah. Oh,
and
I
the
had the hair,
bu-
man.
budget, which was zero.
Yeah. Do you have big hair?
Oh yeah.
Me too, man. You turn your head upside down, brush your hair out, and do it all up like that. And then you spray the hair, the liquid wax
Yeah.
all over your hair, and you got like this bouffant on a guy. Yeah. Then you putting the eyeliner on, all that.
Yeah, that's how it was, man.
That was crazy, man. But I didn't wear any other makeup other than eyeliner, and that was usually only because it was like a cool gig, where there's gonna be a lot of hotties there. I
Yeah.
would actually put on a little bit of makeup myself, even though I was stage manager by this point. And I would, yeah,
It didn't matter. I mean, it's like the ratio of females that I went home with as a sound guy on the road in the nightclub circus, as opposed to when I was a guy on stage. It really didn't change that much. There was like you said, it was a different time. It was a different attitude. Everyone was on the prowl. I'm sure it's the same these days, but I wouldn't know because I don't,
Don't care.
don't
Yeah.
care. I'm 60 years old. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I had my time. I had my turn.
In private, when guys ask me about that time, about how many I was with, and I tell them, half of them don't believe me,
Oh yeah, yeah,
but the other half go, yeah, I kind of see it, because
yeah.
I'm not that great looking now, but when I was younger, and you put on a lot of hair and you're dressing right, and you're, me probably 60 pounds lighter, and you're all, you're muscular, and I'm with the band. Hello, let's go.
Yeah, and it was so much of the attitude that you carried with you too.
Hmm.
And also when you're on the road and you're a young guy and you're partying, you're going from town to town, there's another thing about the numbers. you
Hmm.
know it's like when I was in my early 20s, like I wasn't interested in getting your number. I was interested in getting laid, and I would just work the numbers. I would just be very blunt and then
Hmm.
just go to the next one until I found a win.
Yeah, yeah, it was
And
pretty easy.
it's just how it was.
Yeah, and I actually had an army green actual field jacket, just a plain green, not the BDU they have now, with the camo. And I had all the girls' phone numbers written on it, and I actually had Tic Tac's number on that son of a bitch too, because
you,
whenever I got lost or in trouble, I knew who to call. Tic Tac.
it's funny about John Titak is that he was a smart guy, man.
Hmm.
He would go from club to club, right? And he would hang out with the local groupies, and which was not so unobvious at the time, who were the local
Yeah.
chicks that were doing the thing, right? And he had all their numbers. So when he was looking for a band, when he was looking for a guy, he would call the chicks in this town, that town, kind of keep like a grid about who was sleeping with who, because all of us band guys, and as you know, we all kind of knew who was sleeping with who and what city and what town.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd meet guys. Oh, I do her when I'm there, and
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, me too. When I'm there.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
That's just how it was. But John had the vision to have the network of all the girls' phone numbers, to how to find guys.
Hmm. Pretty
Whether
smart. How about, let me tell you the story about one of the greatest drummers I ever worked with,
go.
Bill Adams. That's a shout out to Bill Adams. So if anybody's listening, he doesn't Facebook, but he was probably the second best drummer I ever worked with in my life. And I was proud to be his stage manager, drum tech. And we could actually stay, I would stand on the side of the stage while he's playing, and we could swap sticks.
Wow.
He was that good. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I had to be a little good too, because the timing has to be right. You know what I mean?
Well,
But
you're throwing into the light. He's throwing into the dark.
exactly. And I'm catching him and I'm throwing it right back at him. And we would do that during the song. He was just probably, like I said, second best that I ever worked with. So just wanted to shout out to him, because I like drummers, man. If you're not a
Yeah.
drummer, you're really not in the band. Yeah. Sorry.
No, cheers to that. What are some of your other favorite stories from your time that stand out to you?
Oh, I well, you'll like this. I don't fanboy on anybody, and this isn't a fanboy story, so I'm just pointing it out that when I tell you the guy's name, you'll say, "Oh, that's pretty fucking wicked." We're playing Flying Dutchman. The only reason I remember the name of it is because of the story, and it's a huge. It used to be an airport hangar, big, huge club, and a big stage and everything, and the night's
North
going great.
Carolina?
North, I think so. North or south, I can't remember, but it's the Flying Dutchman.
I've been there.
Okay, yeah, huge, fantastic club, and it may have been south because they had strip clubs down the road. Anyway, I digress. So we're playing, and it's Bill's getting ready. We're finishing up the second set, and I go back to the bar to get everybody a drink. Some was water, some was Coke, most was beer. These guys weren't big drinkers. And so the manager comes over to me, goes, somebody wants to meet your drummer. I'm like, really? That's a little weird for the manager of the club to come over and tell me somebody wants to meet the drummer. I'm like, okay, who is it? He goes, it's that guy over there. I'm like, okay. And I go over and I said, "Hey, I understand you want to meet our drummer." He goes, "Yeah, if you don't mind." I said, "Mind if I ask why? What's your name?" "Carmine Appice." I said, "Oh, yes, sir. I'll be right back." So I went and
Yeah.
beelined it straight to the dressing room. I'm like, "Bill, Carmine Appice wants to meet you." And so I take Bill out there because by this time he's kind of like off in the corner where nobody.
Bet he was thrilled.
Oh, he was dying. So Bill's talking to him, and like I said, I'm not a fanboy. So at the time, in my head, I thought it would be appropriate for me to give an autograph to Carmine Appice, my autograph. I said to Carmine from the world's greatest roadie, Chuck Young. And I slid it over to him on a napkin. And about 5 minutes later, he said, "Hey, Bill," just like that, "would you like to go out tonight after the show?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he just looked dead at me, as in, if you hadn't have done that, dumbass, you'd probably be going with us. So Carmine Appice took our drummer out till about 6 a.m. having a good old
Nice.
time. Yeah.
Nice. And meanwhile, your napkin didn't
It,
last as
yeah.
long as the Spinal Tap set design.
I love the tap, man. They're doing another movie, man. They're doing another one. I
Is that
love the
right?
tap, man. Let's see. Uh, when I met Angus Young the first time, it was backstage down here on the coast. Uh, we were backstage, and he's sitting on the arm of the couch, and his beautiful wife, I guess at the time, was sitting right next to him, and they were about the same height. She was like a model. You know what I mean? Like 8 feet tall, and he's like 4, so they were about the same height. Anyway, again, silliness. I introduced myself. "Hey, Mr. Young, how you doing? My name's Chuck Young. It's really an honor to meet you. I think you're an awesome guitar player." First thing out of his mouth, he goes, "Are we related?" No, but I wish we were because I could use the money. Please. He thought that was funny, gave me a beer, and told me to hit the road.
Well, you got the
Yeah,
beer.
yeah. There's only like 4 of us backstage with the whole band. It was Brian Johnson, Junior Wright, Angus Young, and Malcolm Young, all in the same dressing room. And it was me and maybe 2 or 3 other guys. It was weird. It was like nowadays, if you got to go backstage to see ACDC, there'd be all these celebrities and crap. So
Yeah,
times were different.
they're the worst.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
They're the
No
worst.
prima donnas, man. Oh, I got to get backstage. No, you don't.
My response is usually, "Where's your seat?
Yeah. Where's your ticket?
Go to go
What
to
does
your
your ticket
seat."
say? That's where you're going to sit. And see, when it comes to tickets, I like to sit on the side of the stage when I go to concerts because I like to see what's going on backstage. That's when I got to see Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley without any makeup on about 30 years ago. They
Yeah,
just came trotting in,
when it
nobody
was a big
noticed.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge, man. But sitting right there watching Ace Frehley play guitar, and there's backstage there's all just rows of guitars, man. Just Ace Frehley's guitars, Paul Stanley's guitars, and I love that was my thing, man. I wanted to be back there, being the guy that made sure the show ran well. You know what I mean? I
Oh,
wanted to be that guy.
I remember.
Yeah, just
I remember. I tell everyone to this day that, whenever I walk out onto the arena floor, I clearly remember how bad I wanted it and how bad I wanted to make the jump out of the nightclubs into the theaters, into the bigger shows, into the festivals, into the arenas, and
yeah,
in the stadium. And I remember how bad I wanted that climb up the gig ladder.
yeah. The gig ladder, yeah, yeah.
So even today, when I'm tired and it's hour number 18, I still keep in perspective that I wanted this. I wanted to do this, and
Well, John T-Tack did me a favor one time, and it just came to my mind because I'm constantly thinking about John T-Tack. And we did 10 cities in 11 days. Yeah, you know what a whore bath is, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah, man, just
yeah. I hate to one up you, but I've done 1919.
oh
Nin-
no, 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 no.
19
We thought,
cities in 19 days.
yeah, we thought 10 and 11 was bad. Jeez, man. But that was brutal, man. But we made it, and we made a buttload of money, you know,
Yeah.
because and they were actually pretty close together
And
for a change.
here's the thing too, which is completely true, is that when I was a musician for almost 3 years on T-Tac tours, we were a metal band. We were a heavy band. You know,
Mm,
we played cover, but we played heavy covers. So booking us was not the same as booking your band,
right.
which I'm sure had a much wider, easier way to put you in somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, that somebody that wasn't playing Metallica, and
True.
you know, we were the only band in that circuit playing Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, when at that time a heavy song was For Whom the Bell Tolls. If you played a Metallica song, that was the standard. You know,
Take a
because
look
everyone
to
was doing.
take a look
Yeah,
to the sky just before you die. It's the last time you will.
that's it, man. You know, it was all about 3 1-hour sets.
Oh God,
You know,
yeah.
or some places we would do 540s.
Yeah. I used to try to negotiate to get 3 1s, 3 1 hours,
Yep.
or if I was real lucky, 3 45s, you know,
Oh,
during the week, because usually the clubs are open or music Tuesday to Sunday is usually, or, like a Sunday brunch kind of, not Sunday night, but because I know the Cheyenne, we played during the day sometimes on a Sunday, or at least once or twice. Anyway, but you have this whole stretch there, so you try to save the really good stuff for Friday night and Saturday night. You don't want to do a drum solo on a Wednesday, or a wicked new guitar solo you've been working years on, you're ready to release it to the world. You don't want to do it on Thursday.
well, that's another thing too. That is uh, um, by the gun area is a band showing up to town and playing all week.
Yeah,
You know, we play Wednesday through Saturday.
yeah.
You know, and the Wednesday crowd be couple dozen people there. Then Thursday be 100 so people. Then Friday night, by Saturday night, you'd reach this plateau
Hmm.
as you go up through the week.
Oh, absolutely. And that was the one of the best things about being on the road back then, aside from that 10 and 11, was that you were home for a week. You know, you literally had a place to lay your head,
You lived there.
and you lived out of your trunk, your roadie trunk.
Yep.
You had all your crap in there, and you open it up. This is where I'm going to put mine. You put yours over there. And me and Bill always shared a room because we were best buds. He was the drummer, and I was uh, his dude. And we just got along because we were also the only two that like to partake in the marijuanas.
Mhm.
And, yeah, so back then, but now, clubs aren't even, you really don't even have any clubs that have live bands that much, unless you're in Myrtle Beach, I understand, has a pretty good nightlife, but, I mean,
Florida.
Yeah, Florida probably, and Key West and places like that. Yeah. Bigger cities, the Whiskey a Go Go is still open, right?
Well, even back in the 80's, once you got into major cities, once you got to the A markets, there was no such thing as some band showing up and playing there 4 days a week.
Right.
You know, you were lucky if you got a night. You were lucky if you didn't split a night with
Yeah.
six other fucking bands.
Yeah. If you didn't get
Especially
one set.
right, especially a place like the Whiskey and all those places in the Strip back in the 80's, when you had to pay to play to
Yeah.
get in there.
Yeah. We never made it out to the West. We almost went at one point when, the band thought they were ready. They everybody was really wanting to go west, but there was only one problem. Nobody had any original stuff. You know,
I find that surprising.
well, if they did, they kept it to themselves. I mean, Ronnie Rogers that I mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
he did, and I hope he remembered it because I remember this very vividly. Is that I overwrote his recording of the one one demo he had of it. I overwrote it because they wanted to record the sound that night. And the only tape I found was his, unlabeled, put it in, recorded over it. But as far as I know, he had like one song and nobody else had anything.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, did they keep it to themselves? Probably. Maybe they just weren't ready to, throw it out there yet. I don't know.
Well,
But
I'm sure that they were great,
mhm,
because you can't that's the thing too. Like when I listen to really really shitty recordings of my band from the 80s, I mean they just sound so horrible. But through the sonic noise of it all is a very tight band.
Yeah.
Because when you play on stage 3 hours a night, town to town, town to town, the material you're doing is rock tight. You know,
Yeah.
that's
It,
um, that's for sure.
oh, they high risk is, I mean, Change to Eden's a fantastic band. The original four or five were super, super tight. And I worked with them from the time they were in a garage, literally a garage band, to make it out to, I think they've got 4 or 5 albums out now. They're not mainstream, but they're, certainly not losers. Super, super tight guys. High risk, I would say the same thing about them. They just never released anything original,
Mhm.
but they certainly were probably one of the tightest bands. I mean, as a stage manager, when I would screw up, like if Ronnie's guitar is just remotely out of key or out of tune, I should say,
Yep.
and he looks at me and gives me that look, I've ruined the night. And I already know the vibe has just gone to crap. But there were nights when you could just feel it. You just like, I mean, they would come off the stage, and I hardly ever did this. I would just pat them on the back and go, "That was freaking awesome, man. That was a set. That rocked." But then you have other nights where, man, what the fuck are y'all doing? But man, when you feel it, you know it. And I'm sure you as a musician probably have that moment in the night when you look at the guys in the band, you're like going, "That's fucking tight, man. That's tight. You
Oh,
can't time it any better."
yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about from both perspectives. You know, from just being a part of the crew, and man, this thing is really on tonight.
Yeah.
You know, and the energy and the crowd and everything else. But for sure, the best shows I've ever seen were all in nightclubs
Yeah.
because
It's personal.
it's just so personal. It's just so intimate. It's just so right there, right in your face, right in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, you
And
can feel the energy
yeah.
a little tighter. You know, not that I haven't seen some great arena shows, but you know, up close and personal, man.
Yeah. That's, it's been my thing, man, I just, I, those days were so great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I can't see it now. I mean, I don't know where I would go. I mean, we have a club down the road. I'm not going to name it, but it's a good club. Don't get me wrong, but their only focus on their live bands is the hardcore death metal shit.
Yep.
And I don't dig that. It's good music to people because they like it, but he won't play any other bands in there, and it hurts my feelings because it's like you got a great place, great location, in a well known established place. Bring in a mixture, man. Bring in some different people because you can make money off of us too. I mean, I'm not saying bring in John Denver, God rest his
Yeah.
soul, but you know what I mean. Don't go from death metal to that, but it's
Well,
just
the thing about the death metal, and I might be wrong, but my perception of it is that anytime you're not bringing in women,
hmm,
you're you're sinking your own ship.
yep,
You know,
yep,
and that was so true in our era of the nightclub life in the 80s,
mm-hmm,
that you had to bring in the chicks. And even though I played in a metal band, a heavy band, our lead singer was a good looking guy, had great rapport with the girls. He sang out of breath a lot, but he was always dancing.
mm,
The David Lee Roth of his time, you know, what mimicking what was happening.
yeah,
But as much as he would irritate us band members sometime with his antics, the chicks loved it, and it brought the women in. And then the guys came in because the music was heavier. You know,
mm-hmm,
you had to have some kind of balance there. But uh, even when I see shows that heavier shows, and it's just a bunch of dudes pushing each other around,
yeah. I don't. Yeah,
and
you're
then
losing half the market for sure.
losing half the market.
Yeah, but
But you know, I don't care. Nothing's made for me.
yeah. And,
Nothing's made for me. I'm just commenting.
All right, I got a funny story I just thought of that I
Let's hear
remembered.
it.
And let's remember, folks, I don't make this shit up. It really happened. It's a long story. It take about 3 minutes.
I got
I hope.
5. Go ahead.
If not, if
Take
hopefully
time.
less. Um, okay, so when I was on the road with High Risk on the second tour, uh, my mother owned a liquor store in Gulfport, Mississippi, and she was a high-end reseller. So she had the good, she made a lot of money for the distributors, not necessarily herself. I mean, you're only allowed to up the price so much in Mississippi before, they say you can't do that. But so she was real good. So one year they gave her a 5-foot Glenfiddich elf, stuffed, not cardboard, a stuffed Glenfiddich elf that stood up by itself. Super cool. So I stole it and I took it on the road with me. Well, it was after Christmas because we were playing in town. So I just happened to go there and take it and hit the road. Anyway, so I took that elf, and one night we're playing, and it may have been the Flying Dutchman because I know it had to be a big room with a big stage and big floor. I was on stage with a guitar wrapped around the elf. So the elf is holding the guitar. I'm holding the elf's hands, strumming along to Ronnie Rogers playing on guitar, doing all this. And Ronnie gets ready to start doing his solo, which I know is coming up. And I get right in rhythm with him. I jump off the stage, which was about 2 or 3 feet, wasn't like a big jump. I run down the dance floor, fall backwards on my knees, laying back like this, doing Ronnie's guitar solo as the elf. The elf was in front of me the whole time. The crowd just went absolutely berserk, man. It was hilarious. I mean,
Oh my God.
and it was dressed in red and white like a Christmas elf,
Life
Glenfiddich.
before the camera phone.
Oh man,
Life before the camera phone.
life, that was life before cell phones, man.
Yeah, well, before the credit card deposit, before and
Yeah.
before the fax machine. I mean, you were just lost in America. There was no way to find you from once you pulled out of that motel and you're on your way to the next thing. You were just out there in the wilderness, traveling across the continent. No way to find you, get a hold of you, get them a message. Didn't exist.
You got a good one on that too, because me and Mike Simpson, shout out to him. He owns Perrin. It's a Parin. It's based out of Colorado. It's a great company. You ought to look into them. Uh, Mike Simpson, he's driving the truck and I'm up in the sleeper, and he's like, Chuck. I'm like, what? I wake up and he goes, man, we don't have any brakes. We're in the mountains of Tennessee at this point. We're literally coming down the mountain, swerving and all that.
Dangerous. Just stop you. Dangerous with brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the truck.
Yeah.
So we're hauling all this equipment, and Mike goes, I'm going to have to ditch it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes,
Get a runaway truck ramp.
It didn't happen. It was just 2-lane road, man. And the Winnebago is long gone. They left us miles. So I get out of the bed and I get in the side seat, and he goes, no, man, you just go back. I'm like, fuck you, man. We're going down. We're going
I don't want
to
be up there for the rollover.
No doubt.
I'll take my chance with the seatbelt and the glass.
Exactly. So he ditches it, and we're there.
Do I say ditches it? Did you mean he went to the right or the left?
Well, if we had gone left, we would have gone down Dead Man's Gully. I don't know.
Okay,
if that's
so
what
you
it was
have you have an embankment on the left.
Yeah, we have the mountain is on our right.
Right. So you ditched into the mountainside.
Yeah, ditched into the mountainside. There was literally a ditch there.
Yeah.
I mean, 2-3 feet deep.
Shockingly, as we're having this conversation, in my lifetime, I've ditched a truck in Tennessee with no brakes, and I ditched on the left-hand side because there was a median.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So
you ditched on the right. Now, was it deep enough where it really pulled that?
We could see the brake line was actually had snapped, and it was leaking brake fluid. So it was not completely sideways, but it was probably like a quarter up. So we could look underneath there and go, yeah.
You had fluids coming out.
Yeah, fluid was coming out. Okay. So we have to sit there. or walk. And Mike said, we're going to wait. And eventually somebody did come by and they said, we got long hair. It's the 80s, they're not really privy to stopping.
No.
So, but somebody did stop and Mike said, could you just call the cops? First chance you get to a phone, just call 911, tell them we're on the side of the road. And I mean, you can see it and they're like, cool, we'll do it.
And
Cops,
are you on a curve?
uh, well, I guess. Well, I mean, the whole thing was kind of a curve, I
Yep.
mean, it's the mountains.
Yeah.
So anyway, the cops show up and everything, and they tow us into town. And of course, we're a day late getting to the gig, and the
Sure.
band, they're like, "Where y'all been?" And we're like, "Oh, living." And Mike explains everything that happened. It was just crazy. But yeah, that was probably the scariest thing that ever happened to me, other than oh, you ever done one of those free falls? Pulls you up, boom, he drops you down at
Like in
100
a
miles an hour.
like in an amusement park
Yeah, yeah.
by a minimum wage employee on an uninspected piece apparatus. No, I have not. But shout but shout out to those of you that have.
Yeah, this was actually at Six Flags over Georgia, where
Yeah,
we
Cletus, are we good to go here?
yeah, Cletus and with no teeth. Um, but we were playing Six Flags where lo and behold, Mike and the Mechanics are also playing.
Oh,
That's a throwback, huh?
that is.
So anyway, we get on the free fall, and this is a good place because it's Six Flags over Georgia, so it's totally we're cool with it.
Yeah, because they hide their fatalities, right?
Well, they have better lawyers.
They have better lawyers, yeah.
And so anyway, we do the ride, and it's me and Ronnie. This time I'm taking care of him because he's like a little kid. He was under 21 at the time, I believe. So I literally was babysitting our guitar player, lead singer as well. And so we get off, and he's walking kind of funny. And I'm like, Ronnie, what's wrong? He goes, I know what it's like to have a baby. Like, oh, okay, that's
Didn't
weird.
have his harness on right, huh?
Yeah, something, I don't know, but he was just kind of freaking me out. This is also the guy that jumped behind the ropes at the Smithsonian Institute of Natural History, where they have the like gorillas and stuff. He jumped over the rope. I took a picture of him and got back over to the other side before security could get there.
Nice.
We never broke the law. Breaking the law. Breaking the law.
I just bent some rules.
Yeah, that's for other people.
Yeah, and yeah, another thing too about that era that it's tough to put in perspective too is that was a time in America when the moral majority was running around and the devil's music and
Yeah,
we got to put a stop to this, and there was the PMRC trying to put
we got to put
stickers
we got to put a label on an album.
yeah, the tipper sticker.
Yeah, like come on, man.
So even the rock bands just playing in nightclubs around you like as you say, long-haired guys driving around the South, man, we were looked at like from another planet.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes not seated in restaurants, not served, certainly not given hotel and motel rooms.
No, no.
I mean, how many times we drive away? That's a no.
Yeah.
And to be fair, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I always say that I feel that we were responsible for the credit card deposit.
Yeah, probably. And see, we were fortunate only in Gulfport, Mississippi, where my dad owned the motel, is that when we did play the Cheyenne,
yeah,
we got to stay for free. And so everybody had their
Yeah.
own room, it's like,
Yeah,
like,
epic.
yeah. But we came home one Christmas. This was on my first tour. I'll never forget. It was Christmas. And I come home and I've got the long hair and I've got a long earring in. And I've got a little bit of makeup on because we were shooting a video and everybody was going to be in it, right? So I got snakeskin jeans on, that stretch, and blue jean jacket, my wife beater. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And I go home after we're done for the day. Clean everything off, but I left the makeup on and my hair's all poofy. And I walk up to my mother and it's Christmas. oh, here comes my F word son. I
Yeah.
don't want to. I don't want to be. I don't want to use the word, but
Yeah.
you can imagine if your son looks like a girl, what you might say if you didn't agree.
Yeah. Not friendly.
No, not friendly. It was definitely not friendly. And I'm like, oh, okay, mom. Well, I just wanted to drop off the Christmas present. So okay, I'll see y'all later.
Love you too.
Yeah, love you. Bye. But yeah, she was not very approving until my grandmother approved of my long hair. She said my hair was awesome. So my mom had to kind of cave to her own mother.
Yeah, my mom was always horrified that I would end up like my father and be a musician and travel around the
Oh,
world.
your father
That's
was a musician?
yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, that is. Uh, that didn't take me around the world. The Air Force did, but tell you what, I didn't know your father was also a musician.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool. Yeah, my
yeah. But
dad played trumpet and marched in front of Eisenhower, I think, for one parade when he was in college.
oh yeah, my father probably got high behind Eisenhower when he was marching.
Ah,
So yeah, my parents were beatniks, and
cool.
then mom went straight, kind of, and dad turned into a hippie and went off and did his thing. So it's just how that was.
Yeah, my parents were pretty not. I don't want to say rigid and not very religious, but definitely didn't approve at first. My dad, was a little different because he was like, "Whatever makes you happy, son. Whatever makes you happy, and be the best you can be at it." So
That's
that
great
was,
advice, man.
yeah, whatever you want to do, just do it.
Yeah, just do it. And I'll say this, right? That those times of being in the nightclubs and that whole atmosphere and everything, that was some of the best times ever.
Decadence, man.
The decadence was off the hook,
Yeah,
and once it turned into like for me, like once I stopped drinking and I stopped partying and I stopped whoring around and kind of settled down into it and treated it like a real profession, it really sucked a bunch of the fun out of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I have fun at work, but I'm not, the fun that I have is at work is not like the fun I had on doing gigs 30 years ago
Right.
for
Well,
a variety of reasons.
I made a mistake one time when I was running sound, and we were playing a club in Georgia somewhere, and it was my birthday, so everybody was buying me beers for my birthday, and I screwed that sound up so bad. I almost got fired over it, but they thought it was so damn funny because as typical, we usually record it every night, you know,
Ooh,
and just so we could go over mistakes,
sure.
just in case somebody made a mistake. In this case, they recorded it, and Bobby actually burned the damn tape. It was a cassette. He just lit it on fire, and we ain't never listened to that shit.
Yeah, with the Viking funeral.
Yeah, it was horrible, man.
Yeah, God knows I mixed a lot of drunk shows back in the day.
Oh, but I always tried not to drink while I was working, but it's almost impossible to not have a beer during a set or something to drink. See, I'm not an alcoholic, and my apologies if that's your case. Quitting is one thing, and declaring is another. But I apologize. But I'm a
No worries for me.
drinkaholic. I had to
Yeah,
have something in my hand.
yeah.
I think I was a bottle baby. You know what I mean? So I've always had, it could be water, bottled water, a Coke, a beer. I got one more little funny for you.
Oh, let's hear it.
Let's see. This is in Athens, Georgia. You probably know the band I'm going to be talking about. We've got the night off. We're going to be playing this club that we're walking to. We've parked. Obviously, we're not walking, but at some point you do have to move your feet to get somewhere. Anyway, so we get to the club, and it's got the poster of the band up, and I'm like, who in the fuck would name their band after Rapid Eye Movement? True story, man. I saw REM, and I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
Rapid Eye Movement, really? That's what you're going with?
Well, we loaded into a club in Cleveland, and there was a poster for the last band that had played there, and one of our guys went up there and goes, "Man, I'd like to fuck these chicks," and it was Poison.
Ooh,
So,
that's scary.
I hope that
Ooh,
worked
no.
out. I hope that worked out for him.
Yeah. How did that work out?
I never found out. But, I'm all about supporting people, Chuck. I don't bring
I,
people down.
I knew. Hey, man, to each his own, man. Hey,
To each
I
his
agree.
own.
Mm-hmm.
Brother, been great talking to you.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it.
Great talking to you. I hope to do this again sometime. Yeah, I mean, the fact that we discovered that we both are on the T-Tac tours together.
That
Come on.
is kind of remarkable that
That is just
you remembered that
remarkable.
and I remembered that. John
Yeah.
T-Tac.
Yeah. So great. So listen, brother, great talking to you. Happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you.
Let's do this again and have some more laughs. And
Yeah.
okay, bro, I'm running. Good
All right,
times,
man. Appreciate it. Loved it. Had a good time.
Had a good time, Chuck. Great talking to you, and we'll do it again soon.
Okay, man. Thank you.
You good, man.
Later, bro.
Let me think,